One thing most successful dream chasers have in common, their ability to, upon a raise in their awareness, to implement.
How large is your awareness implementation gap? If you come to Next Level Live, for example, your awareness will be very raised, and then you're probably going to be a little overwhelmed when you get home and go, how do I implement all this?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. Why are you actually doing what you're doing today? One thing most successful dream chasers have in common. I've told this story before, but since we're going to see Evan Carmichael, we're actually, if you're listening to this episode, we're actually in Toronto. We're probably driving up to Toronto as you're listening to this episode, because this is dropping on Sunday. Mm-hmm. We spoke on stage. We spoke on the same stage as Evan Carmichael. We did not speak at the same time, so I want to make sure I make that clear. And the next day after that event, Evan was having... No, we went to dinner. After the event, we went to dinner with Evan Carmichael. And Evan pulled out our laptop and he said, let's go through your YouTube channel. I want to run the analytics. I'm going to help you guys. And we're like, awesome. This is cool. Take it easy. And he tore us apart. Our YouTube channel sucked. Yes, that's a fact. And one of the things he said, I want you guys to make new thumbnails. He said, who makes your thumbnails? And I said, that's me. I'm that guy. And he's like, these thumbnails, they suck too. I want you to make new thumbnails tonight. And I was like, absolutely done. Consider it done. I will do it. So we went back to the Airbnb after, and I was like, Alan, I need your help, man. I don't know what to do with these thumbnails. And he's like, dude, don't even worry about it. Let's go to the beach. And I was like, no, man, I need to make these thumbnails. Evan's going to ask tomorrow, and we're not going to have them. He's like, dude, he's not even going to remember. And I was like, no, he's going to. I know he's going to. Moral of the story, we didn't make the thumbnails. So the next morning, Evan had a meetup. And it was myself, Alan, Taryn was there. I think Amy was there.
It was great.
It was really good. But he said, hey, man, let me take a look at the thumbnails. And I said, oh, no, didn't do them. And he's like, what do you mean you didn't do them? And I said, yeah, no, Alan wanted to go to the beach. We didn't do them. And he's like, huge miss, man. Huge miss. Like, you let me down. I thought you were going to do them. So the point of today's episode, one thing most successful dream chasers have in common, their ability to, upon a raise in their awareness, to implement. Evan Carmichael said, hey, this is what you should do for your thumbnails. If we were as next level as we are today back then, we would have immediately implemented and said, Evan, somebody who knows and is an expert on YouTube, said to do this. Let's go implement. So the people, the dream chasers, the people who find success, it's usually the people who get a new awareness and say, cool, let me go take action on this new awareness right now. Alan has a story, and that's why we're going to do this episode.
That's on me. That one's on me.
He jeffed us.
We had...
Luckily, he still likes us, and we get to go see him in Toronto, but probably more because of me than you.
Obviously. No, and honestly, I tried to explain it to Evan. I'm like, Evan, I didn't know you were going to remember that. And also, we're going to implement when we get back, right? So it's all good. But no, that is on me, because it is true how quickly you can implement good advice, not only as an indicator to your coach that you're taking things seriously, but it's an indicator of how successful you're going to be. I have many clients, and I'm very grateful at this stage to be able to say that, but over time, you start to notice differences. Not everyone's the same. The fundamentals of success are very similar, if not the same, in every country, every industry. There's nuances that change, but the fundamentals never change. I use the analogy of basketball. Dribbling, assists, rebounding, shooting, 3-point shots versus field goals, that kind of thing. Foul shots. Fundamentals are the same, but not every basketball player implements the same. Not every basketball player can dribble with their right and their left, right? That kind of thing. So the fundamentals of success are the same for every client, regardless of the industry or the country or the circumstance, but there's different nuances. I have one new client. I've been working with her for about a month and a half now, and she really, really impressed me the other day, so I want to shout her out, and I'll do it anonymously, of course, but this person will know if she's listening. So we get off the phone and, first of all, whenever we do coaching calls, whenever I do a coaching call, first I just ask questions. It's just collect data. Where are you at? Catch me up in the last couple weeks or the last week if they're weekly. And then I always reach a point where it's like, boom, okay, now I know what we have to work on. But at the beginning, it's always collecting data. Sometimes that's 10 minutes of the call, of the hour. Sometimes that's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 15. It varies depending. And always what my brain is looking for is what's the most important thing we need to do. So I get to that point, I go, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to teach. All right, so I taught this thing called conscientiousness. There's a personality test, there's DISC assessment, and there's, INFJ, or I think it's called, and there's all these different personality tests out there. One of them is called Hexaco, Hexaco, and you can look this up. It tests you on 26 facets of your personality. I've talked about it before, and there's these categories. One of the categories is called conscientiousness. Conscientiousness has 4 subcategories, and conscientiousness is the most correlated with business success. This is a business client, so of course I'm going to teach this. So I took her through all 4 subfacets. One is organization, one is prudence, one is diligence, and one is perfectionism. I'll go through them very, very quickly. Organization, how organized are you? Very simple. Perfectionism is how thorough are you? Do you double check your work? That kind of thing. Diligence is hard work, sweat equity. Do you grind it out? And then prudence is your ability to make the right decision, which I help people with in my coaching. So anyways, long story short here, it was not 2 hours later after the Zoom session ended, coaching call done, and she asked for, on the call, she asked for a link to the Hexaco thing. I don't even think she asked for a link. I think she said, I'm going to do the Hexaco. I'm going to do the personality test. And I was like, okay, cool. And again, a lot of clients say they're going to do stuff, and then sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. My job's to hold them accountable, so I call them out next time. But at the end of the day, we all fail forward, right? Have you ever said something you're going to do and then not gotten into it until 2, 3, 4 months later, or 4 weeks later, or 4 days later? 2 hours later, she submits her PDF of her full Hexaco report. And I was like, that is so cool. She literally went from learning Hexaco existed to learning about one facet of it, 4 subfacets of that facet, to literally taking the entire personality test, and now she has more self-awareness than most of my clients. I had that moment of like, she's going to be awesome. She's going to be an awesome client. She's going to be very successful if she can keep that level of implementation up. Emilia and I talk about this all the time. There's something called that we've created called an implementation awareness gap. A lot of people's issue, Kevin, I'll use you as an example early on. All my words blend together when I'm talking too fast. Sorry. So when Kevin and I first got together, he had an awareness issue. He didn't understand how to achieve what he had set out to achieve. So the moment he got new awareness, he would usually implement, which is what he wanted to do with Evan. He's like, ooh, we need new thumbnails. I'm going to go make new thumbnails. Whereas with me, I knew our thumbnails sucked. I always know that, right? That's not the issue. So I'm trying to implement things. So Kevin had an awareness gap, and so as soon as he gets new awareness, he usually implements. He's far better at that than I am. My awareness implementation gap is so big, it's ridiculous. I'm aware of how to achieve our dreams. I couldn't possibly implement it all at once. And so I figured Evan knew that. I figured it was no big deal. Here's my point. How large is your awareness implementation gap? If you come to Next Level Live, for example, your awareness will be very raised, and then you're probably going to be a little overwhelmed when you get home and go, how do I implement all this? Or you already know what to do, but you still need to implement. So the people who implement really quickly and effectively are going to win in the long run. And so what I want you to check in on is how big is your awareness implementation gap? If you're raising your awareness and you're learning, but not implementing, your gap is getting bigger, not smaller. If you're implementing, but never learning, you're not able to get to the next level because you need to change your thinking in order to get to that next level. So you need to implement and raise your awareness simultaneously and cyclically in order to really get to the next level.
It's like a sickness. I really think it's a positive sickness, not a negative one. But when we had our studio, every time I walked in the studio, I'd say, that's got to change. And then I couldn't do anything. You know me. Once something happens, I cannot move on until I do something about it. it literally was like, I'm going to order some new lights, or I'm going to order this, or we're going to have this. And every time I was doing something new. Now, again, it's good because things really, really improve, but also that time could have potentially been used elsewhere. Do you think there's a downside to this as well? Potential downside?
Yep. I'm grateful we're going to go into it. Kev, I want to flip the script here for a second and ask you a question.
Oh, boy.
Because, yes, there is a downside. Recently, you've gotten to a place where you can't really implement all of your awareness anymore. I mean, the implementation gap is very large for Kevin and I. Because we spend a lot of our time masterminding and learning and reading books and coaching. And when I consult with all these other businesses, sometimes we come across things that I'm like, well, crap, we haven't done that yet. And I'm giving advice and I'm like, oh, crap, I haven't done that yet. So I think, Kev, now that your awareness is exponentially increasing, now that you learn every day, the compound effect of your learning is like really ignited at this stage. And so now you're realizing I can't possibly implement everything that I'm aware of. So what has that been like for you? Because that's where I was at the beginning. And now it's like, do you understand at least why I was like, don't worry about the thumbnails yet type of thing?
Yeah. I would say that's probably my current experience is you can really just make sure whatever you're doing is the most important. I think that's probably it. Like, I know I said this to somebody the other day. They said, how much should I post on social media? And I said, honestly, I do like, if I was you, I do like 3 posts a day. And I was like, we don't do that, but I know we should be doing more than we are. It's just, I don't really care that much. It's not on the top of my priority list. It's not that big of a deal. Everything is working just fine the way it is, and we're growing at the rate that we're growing at a positive enough rate for me to, I'm not going to start throwing things off the ship and say, oh boy, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. So yeah, it makes sense to me now, but it's almost like when your awareness of what the most important thing is high enough, then you also understand that everything else kind of doesn't matter. But when your awareness is low, you couldn't possibly know what you don't know. That makes sense?
One of the things that I think you understand now intuitively, but maybe, no offense, but didn't explain it well right there.
No, it's. I had a moment where I said, "There's no going back from this." Okay, let's just try it.
This is our 4th episode. This is our 4th in a row.
This is our 4th episode. Yeah.
This is where it falls off. No, I'm joking. All right, so you don't have any extra units of time. That's what it is. You can't possibly. I mean, if you and I post 3 times a day, are you kidding me?
But so this is the thing, though.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think I explained it badly, but this is my thought. When your awareness isn't high enough to know, then you couldn't possibly know the importance of everything that you're doing. So for the thumbnail thing, for me, it was like at the time.
Did you not know the thumbnails were bad before?
They were the best they'd ever been, so no, I didn't. No.
Right.
In my mind, it's
I knew
like
they were garbage.
I just redid them all. I think they're pretty good. Compared to the last version, they're
and they
world
are.
class.
That's all I'm looking at. Are they better than they used to be? Yeah.
All I was looking at is this is the best they've ever been.
But
so
compared
I don't think I
to now with Christina doing them,
Yes.
I mean, yours were garbage. No offense, but
no, none
it's
taken.
all relative, right?
None taken. Yeah.
But you did better than I would have done back then. I mean, I'm not a digital artist.
It's just it's the awareness thing of I don't think that you can pause. It's almost like let's see, what's a good analogy?
Did you think you were doing all you could?
Yeah, because I was doing all I was aware of. Of course, I thought I was doing all I could.
Do other people think that? There's no such thing.
Well, no, I know. It's an asymptote.
Yeah. Strong
Son?
word. What's an asymptote?
It's a thing that is like a thing, but not.
You're funny.
It basically, from what I've been told, I've learned this through the grapevine, it's something that you can never get to, you can only get closer to.
Yeah, which is maximizing your potential. Yeah. Okay. So our thumbnails will never be done.
Correct.
Like we're never going to have like the best thumbnails, right? That's not real or achievable. So can we talk a little bit about so other people think they are doing all they can to achieve their dreams or their goals? Because
I think there's a difference between awareness and effort?
My name is Nathan Schwermann. I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. I've been a client of Alan's for coming on 2 years now, and I really can't recommend his program enough. Alan's always there for me with great advice and holding me accountable every step of the way, and really leading by example. I've grown a lot in his program, but he's grown alongside with me, so I'd really recommend joining up on the program and joining the community.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I wouldn't say people, and again, I'm same here. Am I doing everything humanly possible? No. Right? Are you doing everything humanly possible?
No, of course not.
I think people understand that. There's a difference between I'm not doing everything humanly possible and I don't want to do more. I'm not willing to do more.
But when it comes to the thumbnails, you were willing. I was the one who wasn't.
I just didn't have the awareness.
In my opinion, the units of your time were better spent with future team members.
Yeah.
Like Amy and the beach and all that. That's why I said I didn't want to go to the beach. I wanted to spend time with our team, right? You know what I mean? You made it sound like I wanted to go lounge on the beach.
Son.
Yeah. But that's my point. I think this is a deeper conversation. Maybe we'll do another episode. But you either lack awareness or you lack implementation. And it's always both. It's just which one's lagging most. Yeah. And the reason Kevin and I don't post 3 times a day isn't because we shouldn't be. It's because given our current human resources of ourselves and our team, that's not the best use of those units of time.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
agree.
That productivity stuff, Kev, I realize this, that's my thing, man. I'm good at that. And I realize that more and more when I talk to clients and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, so there's a big gap in awareness when it comes to like units of time in, units of effort in, bringing capital back, and then reinvesting the capital to save you units of time and effort back. It's definitely something we should
do an
help teach in a simpler way, because you've come way up in this, and I want to help our listeners do that too. But I don't know how, honestly, because I don't know what I taught you necessarily.
Oh, I think a lot of it's just experience. Honestly, I think it's the awareness, it's the implementation, and then it's the awareness of what happens when you actually implement. There's a big difference between you thinking something is going to go a certain way and then it going the way it does, and the lessons you get from each. That's a whole other thing. But just to frame it, this was a potential client, not an actual client. This person said, if I want a top 250 show as soon as humanly possible, what do I do? So I said, I would literally do an episode every single day, and I would post to social media 3 times a day. That's where I would start.
See how different the advice is based on the question?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I appreciate that, because that's a good frame for me too. Where for us, me posting on 3 times a day isn't necessarily going to do that. I mean, will it do something? Yeah, but our train is already rolling the way it's rolling, and the most valuable use of our time is what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Then it's like team and clients, and it's unless I can do. What did I see? Alex Hermosi. He's blowing up. He's a fitness guy who is very, very successful at business, but really understands consistency and all that. And he said something the other day. He said, people tend to take on stuff before they're actually running the right system, where it's like, long before I'm ever going to be posting 3 times a day, I got to make sure I'm doing the stuff on my PPT every day. And that's post once a day. Let me get there first. And I usually am. But that's the important thing, is you got to make sure you're hitting the points along. Like you're hitting the progress points. Okay, the thumbnails have to come up. Awesome. Cool. They came up after we talked to Evan. We went back. Now I have the understanding that they're never going to be, they can't be perfect. But Christina's way better than I am. Now, the feedback we give Christina gives the opportunity for them to level up more and more and more and more and forever. And that really is, that's really the name of the game. Now, we don't have to implement everything because we have an awesome team, and that's part of it too. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
But we didn't always, and we definitely didn't when we had this conversation with Evan.
Right. No.
Right?
It's
and
just
so a lot of the decisions we're making are predicated on my understanding of what will, even your social media and my social media. Who knows? Maybe Next Level Social Media, which is a department that didn't exist a year ago, will eventually be doing that for us. And again, I don't know yet, But
Yeah.
the optimal stopping problem of when to do things is a equation that is very difficult to calculate, and it's super based on the circumstance and the industry and the individual. And even to that advice you gave that client, you wouldn't have given that advice if he didn't ask that very specific question.
No.
Because it's not good advice for everybody.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's
Particularly
not for most people.
if they haven't proven they can at least do once a day.
Right.
You know, so it's
Yeah,
important
it's
to
not for-
understand all these nuances. And again, I just want to give this to the listeners. That's why a podcast can't be as valuable as coaching. Because the advice we can give all of you right now can only be at a certain depth before it's irrelevant to some of you. You know, and with coaching, you can just go right to the golden nugget with that individual based on their circumstance, their goal, their industry, their country, their so we can kind of only go so deep on a podcast to where it doesn't it's not irrelevant to some of you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is we talk about a lot of the same through lines. It's not because we don't want to talk about anything else. It's because most human beings, they don't get a new awareness and then go do something about it immediately. Like how many episodes did we do on consistency? It's one of the most important fundamentals, and humans tend to fall off, right? You might have implemented, but then something happens. Then you get that reminder, that new awareness again, that reminder, reminding you of the awareness that you once had, but you stopped practicing. That's one of the reasons we do episodes the way we do them as well. That's a little behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you dig it?
I dig it.
I dig it too.
One intention we should set for our listeners, I think, and I just feel this, we could help you, if you could help our listeners with productivity and peak performance in a way that is easily digestible, I think that would be really beneficial. Because I realized in this moment that you're one of the most productive people I've ever met in my entire life, genuinely. But you didn't start there. I mean, when I met you, you weren't really that productive. You know what I mean? You were hardworking, but you weren't that productive. And I think there's just so much you could probably teach in that I didn't realize I was teaching you through osmosis.
I think it's and I appreciate it. I think it's one of those things that's hard because the level of productivity that I have is not the level of productivity most people want, depending on the goals. That's why it's very hard to do an episode like that.
Would they, if they knew what that would bring them?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because you're going to get your dream car, dream home, and that's going to be because you became so productive, right? But
it's one of the reasons. It's not the only reason.
One of the main ones.
Well, yeah.
It's one of the biggest ones, honestly. And I think that if people could connect that, they might decide they want to be. And I had a client recently, I'll be quick about this, but I had a client recently say, I don't want my calendar to look like yours. And I said, I know, I didn't either. But trust me, it needs to look different than yours now. And I also said this, and I was trying to be kind, but I also need to be hard on my clients. She said, I don't want my calendar to look like that. And I said, well, then you're never going to achieve the results that I have. And that's okay. That's okay. You don't need to want the results that we have. But you can't want the results without the calendar. That's like wanting the body without the gym. That's not like a thing. And so, and I said to her, I had a coach early on who her calendar looks like mine does now. And I was saying the same thing. Yeah. And now I realize I totally do want this, and I actually want more, and I want all the results that come with it, right? So don't underestimate how awesome your life can be. I mean, Kev, if I told you, if you looked at your calendar now at the beginning, you just said hell no.
Oh,
but now you're looking for more. You know
Some days
I
still say hell no. I look at it and say, oh, no.
It's not an everyday thing.
How are
but
we
you
gonna do
understand
this?
what comes with it, and you understand that it's a
That's
valuable
par for the
thing.
course.
So, yeah, I just think we should help people with that. That's all I'm saying. How we do that is the question, but I think it's important. Yeah.
I dig it. Next Level Nation, we will do an episode on peak performance and productivity. Will it be named that? No, it'll be named something else. I don't know what it is yet off the top of my head, but we will create something.
I'm excited.
I know you are. That's your jam. Next Level Nation, as you know, we are a business and a company and a podcast and two human beings and a brand that really values giving away as much value as humanly possible for free. One of the very few times we will say anything about money is when we're talking about things that aren't free, aka I guess that makes a lot of sense. We have a course on our website. We have 2 courses. One is completely free. All you got to do is enter your email. You can download it. It's a long course. Then we have another course that is our previous Next Level Live. So it's a full day event. I think there's maybe 2.5 hours worth of content. It's my speech, Alan's speech, Dr. Taryn McCarthy's speech, Tori Aletto's speech, and the Q&A. So it is a very, very valuable course, and I think it's, $47? So again, we want to make sure it's worth it. We want to make sure it's valuable, and we want to make sure it's affordable. If you're interested, the link is in the show notes. I believe it has worksheets. Oh, no, it has all of the presentation PowerPoint slides that come up. So since you can't be there live and you couldn't be there live, it's almost like you're in the audience and you can pause it and take notes on the PowerPoint slides. It's awesome. It's world class. Download it if you want it.
And we can promise you this. There's no version of you actually going through that course and not making way more than $47 back.
And I'll give you your money back too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, just message me. I'll give
Just
you your money
message
back.
us if you don't like it and you don't think it's worth it, and we'll give you your money back. So I hope that you download that. Also, speaking of free content, so we have a private meetup, monthly meetup every single month. This is actually our 1-year anniversary. So on December 1st, 2022, this is our 12th ever monthly meetup. We started at the beginning of 2022. Here we are at the end of 2022, and we are 1 year into doing these monthly meetups. Consistency is the way. So this is on what we talked about in a couple episodes ago, which is, what is your reaction to failure and uncertainty? Your reaction to your failures creates your success. In other words, do you get disheartened and then run away or avoid or fawn? Or do you dig in deeper and get motivated and inspired and find another resource? After my car accident, I talk about Tony Robbins' TED Talk and the top 5 regrets of the dying and finding personal development. I was in the dark regrets, and I was in fear and failure. And I found, the light. I found resources that I never would have found. And those resources have really helped me on a trajectory towards my dreams. And so if I didn't have that reaction to fear and failure and uncertainty, we wouldn't be here today. And that's what that meetup is about, is how do you really handle these difficult failures and fears and uncertainty and disheartening moments with getting more motivated and more inspired on the other side of those. That's what this meetup is about. It's completely private. You can participate as much as you want, camera off, microphone off, or you can be in the chat. You can be as involved as you want to be. There's no obligation, and they are completely private, not recorded, so they will stay that way.
Please join us. Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode The Best Question to Ask Your Mentor or Coaches, but doesn't sound good in a title if you have that many words. So the best question to ask your mentor / coaches / peak performance partners. As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans, we have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out